Thank you for joining us once again on Asset Television News. I am Eugenia Solomon. First, the headlines. President Tinubu says Lamido is one of most experienced politicians in Nigeria. Taraba government assures safety of investors at summit. Plus, TED Fund advises universities on funds management. The detail. President Bola Tinubu has described former governor of Jigawa State, Lamido, as an astute and one of the most experienced politicians in Nigeria today. President Tinubu, who was represented by the Minister of Information, Muhammad Idris, at the launch of a book, Being True to Myself, he said Lamido is also a staunch member of Nigeria's political revolution, whom they differ in ideologies but are together in thoughts for a better Nigeria.
Politician and public servant who served as Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister between 1999 and 2003, and then went on to become the elected governor of Jigawa State between 2007 and 2015. He also happened to be one of the most experienced Nigerian politicians around, having served as a member of the House of Representatives in the Second Republic and the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party during the sadly aborted Third Republic. His wealth of knowledge and experience is definitely an asset that ought to be shared with the world, and it is heartwarming that he has gone ahead to do this in his book. Serious and intentional documentation is a critical part of nation building, and every new book from a Nigerian political actor is to be welcomed, to be read, and to be debated. This is not merely the unveiling of a book, it is the celebration of a life defined by courage, consistency, commitment to democratic ideals, politicians.
President Tinubu says he welcomes criticism in his government, but they must be constructive. However, in his address as special guest of the event, former President Olusegun Obasanjo said Lamido, at the time he was governor, was one of those he had always admired in the area of performance, as he was able to deliver on his mandate.
Lamido has admirable character, and I admire him. When I appointed the ministers, because I did not want a situation where a minister would do something wrong, and I would want to say, look, Mr. Minister, thank you, you can go. And there will be problem. I said all my ministers should give me undated letters of resignation. Lamido came to me and said, you appointed me, and I did not ask you to appoint me. You think I will fall? You appointed me, and I didn't ask you to appoint me. But any day you find me unworthy of the assignment you have given me, give me 5 minutes, I will give you my letter of resignation. But please excuse me from giving you undated letter of resignation.
Also President of the Senate in the Third Republic, Senator Yochia Ayu, the book reviewer, commended the former Jigawa State Governor Lamido for finding time to write a book. He says Lamido, being born into a family in Dutse, Jigawa State, that saw him as little prince, was later to become a politician after acquiring Western education.
Sule offers us an insight into his childhood in Bamaina village, that is in Jigawa State. His basic schooling in Birnin Kudu and Barelo College Zaria. His working life and rich political career. Bamaina, where Sule was born in 1948, was a small agricultural village inhabited by Fulani cattle rearers. His father and uncle were the administrative and spiritual leaders of the village. This conferred on Sule a privileged status as a village prince. As he puts it in the book, I was born into a life of affluence, but I grew up with a tenacious sense of empathy towards the less privileged. This aristocratic cattle rearer was fortunate to escape the bleak life of cattle rearing when the then Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi, forced his father to enroll him in Western education schools, first in Birnin Kudu and later Balua College Zaria.
He said Lamido attempted governorship election several times before he eventually got it and made a lot of impact on his people. However, in his vote of thanks, Lamido salutes all those that stood by him while writing his memories.
My gratitude to the Excellencies, Your Highnesses, and other brothers and sisters together here for finding time to be here with me. Before I end my remarks, I would like to appeal to the President, President Tinubu, to close the chapter of June 12th. In his book, General Babangida revealed that Abiola won the election. He said that. When I went to him, he said that Abiola, the election was killed because Abiola was being owed 45 billion naira. And therefore, if he became the president, he was going to pay himself the money. So it means Abiola is being doubly punished. Not his own presidency and also his own money. So please, tell the president, please let him pay to Abiola family the money for which he has been suffering, for which he has been dying his own presidency, for 12 billion naira. It's very, very.
Prominent among those that attended the launch, former Vice President Mko Abiola, who unveiled the book, Senator Gabriel Suswam, former Governor of Benue State, Ken Nnamani, former Senate President, and Namadi Sambo, Vice President to former President Goodluck Jonathan. Now, the Taraba State Governor Abu Kefas has urged the diplomatic and international community to attend its forthcoming International Investment Summit and take advantage of the vast opportunities in the state. Governor Kefas, who made the call in Abuja while addressing members of the diplomatic community in Nigeria, also notes that Taraba State, through the summit, is focusing on 4 areas of agriculture, mining, energy, and industrialization.
Taravest 2025 is our theme, unlocking Taraba's investment potentials, advancing agriculture, energy, mineral, and industrialization for sustainable growth. The event, as earlier mentioned, will take place on the 21st of May 2025 at the Banquet Hall, Government House, Jalingo. This event matters to us because it is the capstone of the President's Renew Hope agenda. That is, the engagement is designed to convert federal interventions into tangible projects, jobs, and enduring partnership.
The chairman of the main summit planning committee, Godwin Elumelu, assured the diplomatic community that measures have been put in place to ensure that their safety and transparency in doing business in the state.
Taraba State is a place that you can have value for your money. They have gold, huge deposit of gold. You know, women, they don't joke with gold. They have uranium. You don't need to go far. Come to Taraba. Those doing nuclear weapon and whatever, the huge deposit of uranium is in Taraba. And it's very, very affordable to any investor.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Maitama Tugar, represented by Ambassador Anderson Madueke, also assured the diplomatic community that Taraba State is indeed investment destination.
I equally wish to express deep appreciation to the members of the diplomatic corps, like I said before, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. And of course, like it's been said by Honorable Lumelu, Taraba State is an investment destination. We've seen it. It's remaining by next week to go there and see things for yourself. They have enormous resources. We're talking about gold, we're talking of uranium, and many others. And of course, agriculture, fertile land, which you know, food is the way to go.
The summit, which is tagged Taravest 2025, Taraba International Investment Summit, is scheduled to hold in Taraba State on the 21st of May 2025. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, has warned beneficiary institutions that fail to meet performance benchmarks or mismanage allocated funds risk being delisted from its support programs. Executive Secretary of TED Fund, Sonia Chono, who gave the warning at a one-day strategic engagement with heads of institutions, bursars, and heads of procurement of the fund's beneficiary institutions in Abuja, explained that the policy is not meant to punish, but rather to safeguard the credibility and impact of TED Fund interventions.
So please, I am at an appealing stage. Shortly after that one, we use the hammer. We know there is a hammer element in our laws, that if you don't access your funds for a particular period, you lose it. The BOT will mop it. The only condition the law says is that they should allocate it to more efficient institutions within your geopolitical zone. Do not say it's because I'm taking money from your school to give my friend, though. It is you that have refused to use it. And there are other people who are begging. In fact, some people have gone very far with their 2025 already. And I know some of you will wait till November before applying. Some people are still applying for 2024 annual direct development. You won't believe it. I'm still getting applications for 2024 annual direct from some schools. And I'm wondering, what have you been doing in over 1 year? Some will just assess half, and then they've been arguing and quarreling within their schools.
Echon also noted that the fund intends to ensure that its resources are directed towards institutions committed to high standards of governance, transparency, and accountability. As according to him, the strategic engagement aims to address recurring challenges in Nigeria's tertiary education sector, improve project execution, and enhance the quality of education.
I bring you warm greetings from the NUC. First, I would like to commend the Tertiary Education Trust Fund for convening this all-important stakeholders engagement. We do know that meetings like these provide opportunity for relevant stakeholders to assess the implementation and the impact of projects and programs that are funded by TED Fund. It also enables us to identify bottlenecks and collaboratively explore ways to enhance the value and sustainability of these interventions across universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. They also serve as a mechanism for structured feedback, something we must prioritize if we are to continually improve the efficiency, relevance, and impact of public investments in higher education.
On his part, the representative of the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, NUC, Professor Abdullahi Ribadu, Dr. Joshua Atta, urged institutions to be more responsive and ensure that interventions are relevant and efficiently executed. He also encouraged judicious and timely use of funds and called for open and constructive dialogue during the engagement.
I bring you warm greetings from the NUC. First, I would like to commend the Tertiary Education Trust Fund for convening this all-important stakeholders engagement. We do know that meetings like these provide opportunity for relevant stakeholders to assess the implementation and the impact of projects and programs that are funded by TED Fund. It also enables us to identify bottlenecks and collaboratively explore ways to enhance the value and sustainability of these interventions across universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. They also serve as a mechanism for structured feedback, something we must prioritize if we are to continually improve the efficiency, relevance, and impact of public investments in higher education.
For TED Fund, this year's interventions budget prioritizes consolidation, sustainability, and the completion of abandoned projects. The World Bank has described Nigeria's 2025 federal budget as overly ambitious, warning that the federal government may be forced to turn to the Central Bank of Nigeria's Ways and Means facility to finance likely revenue shortfalls. The bank gave this warning during the public presentation of its latest Nigeria Development Update report titled Building Momentum for Inclusive Growth in Abuja. President Bola Tinubu signed the 2025 Appropriation Act into law, approving the record budget of 54.99 trillion naira, the highest in Nigeria's history. The budget was raised from the initial proposal of 49.7 trillion naira submitted to the National Assembly. The fiscal plan makes provisions for 13.64 trillion naira in recurrent expenditure, 23.96 trillion naira for capital projects, 14.32 trillion naira for debt servicing, and 3.65 trillion naira for statutory transfer, while projecting a deficit of 13.08 trillion naira to be financed through domestic and external borrowing. The budget assumptions include a crude oil benchmark of $75 per barrel, oil production at 2.06 million barrels per day, an average exchange rate of 1,400 naira per dollar, and an inflation target of 15%. In the meantime, the World Bank has projected that Nigeria's inflation rate will average 22.1% in 2025, attributing the anticipated decline to the Central Bank of Nigeria's tight monetary stance aimed at restoring price stability and anchoring inflation expectations. The project was contained in a statement published on the World Bank's website following the formal launch of the latest edition of the Nigeria Development Update report in Abuja. Well, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has issued a warning about fraudulent individuals and groups claiming to represent the bank. In a statement signed by the Acting Director, Corporate Communications, Sidi Ali Hakama, these scammers are circulating fake offers of contracts, loans, grants, and intervention funds targeting unsuspecting members of the public, adding that despite a previous public advisory, the schemes have continued, with the scammers using deceptive narratives to deceive people. According to the statement, the CBN is committed to protecting the financial interests of Nigerians and is working with security agencies to investigate and address these fraudulent activities. The Apex Bank has advised the public not to engage with individuals or entities making such claim and to report incidents to law enforcement agencies or the nearest CBN branch. It urged the public to be cautious and vigilant and to verify the authenticity of any claims or offers before responding or taking actions. With that story, we end the news. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms for more updates and programs. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Eugenia Solomon. Thank you for watching.